Welcome to Philly Coco Presents Side Project Spotlight, episode 111. This is a developer's journey into making cool stuff. I'm Kotaro.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are Philly Coco, a Philadelphia-based Cocoa Heads community focused on Apple development. That primarily, but not exclusively, means iOS, Mac, tvOS, watchOS, and visionOS development. Philly Coco's true desire is to take you higher on your own developer journey. Ooh,
Yeah, very nice.
Very nice. I feel like I need to add another platform to make this a little harder for me now.
Well, don't wait. Dub-Dub's coming
We'll
up.
have to wait for WWDC
Yeah.
maybe they'll announce.
Maybe we'll get that Home OS or something
I need
Siri OS or
I need something to
something.
flub it all up. I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at those moments, so I need something. I'm getting too good at this.
Yeah, too good.
So Steve, I noticed that our website, phillycoco.org, is blazingly fast right now.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, why is that so fast? Why is it so smooth and responsive? And it's even got HTTPS.
I know. I'm sorry, Zorn. If you're listening,
Sorry, Zarn.
the internet has moved on. We had to do it. So the website, we have not had an updated website in I think
Ages.
years,
Centuries.
because
Okay, not that bad.
Our website is all open source. Like, you can go and there's a link at the bottom to takes you to the GitHub repo that stores it. So you can look at how this is done. It's not super complicated, but we had a whole build system set up with CircleCI, and it published it to an S3 bucket. And so the journey kind of started when it's Hugo got updated, and like the modern Hugo would no longer build our site.
Sorry,
that was
what
one
is
problem.
Hugo?
Hugo is our static website generator that we're using. So it takes some templates and markdown files, binds them together, and spits out the HTML. And then you just serve straight HTML and style sheets and images directly from whatever web.
Wait, you're talking about raw, dirty HTML and
It's like the
JavaScript
90s
and
again,
CSS?
man, but automated.
Ooh, do we have marquee tags floating around somewhere in there?
No, not yet. But now don't give me a good idea or a terrible one. So we started with that, and then that kind of broke the build. But then I think CircleCI at one point updated things, and so our CircleCI build was really out of date, and we couldn't update the website anymore. So I went to try to fix it. So it was this is like a multi-stage update. We haven't redesigned or anything yet, but stage one was get the thing to build again with Hugo and update Hugo. So Side Project Saturday in April, Side Project Saturday, I think I sat there for 3 hours. I did this. I used up all of the tokens on my $20 plan using Codex to help with this.
You didn't go over. Oh, you didn't go over the plan. You didn't.
Actually, I did. I did go over the plan a little bit. I went into my reserve.
Overmaxed, and then you dipped into your extra savings, your
on the
studio
slow
display savings.
And that was a slow $20 plan too. So, but the reason I was using Codex, because this is a good use of an LLM. I literally didn't want to. I wasn't really trying to do much new. I just wanted to get it to work, and I wanted to fix a few things, and also wanted to play around with the new Codex app, which had this feature where you can look at the website and visually look at it, and you can put little prompts in, and it uses up your tokens so fast. It's not meant for $20 plan. But
wait, when you say so fast, within that 3 hours,
it's
at what point did you max out?
Faster. When I max out, I mean, I used up my entire 5-hour window in 3 hours. I used up my entire, I think, week worth of tokens in those 3 hours too. So it was I used up basically everything for a week within 3 hours on a $20 plan, something like that. It was really bad, and a lot of that is because I was having it open the web browser that they built in, and it was looking at the website, and I was like, this thing needs to be lined up here, line it up, and then it would completely screw it up, and then I'd be like, fix it, and then that's another giant amount of tokens. And then I was like, screw it, I'll do it myself. So I had to get Hugo working, which I did, and I got a lot of updates. There's still some more to do, but I got it working. I got it decent. I got our meeting up there. I got the link to Luma. I got rid of the old sponsorship stuff that was there. They weren't sponsoring us anymore. That kind of thing. I fixed it up. And then the next stage was, how do I deploy this thing? I made a PR, put it up onto GitHub. But of course, the PR is broken because CircleCI is broken. So I have to go into CircleCI, and CircleCI updated to the point where I could not find our configuration on their website, on their web end. It was so broken. I think that our configuration was so old versus what CircleCI expected that it didn't fully mesh. And there was even a part where it was like white text on a white background on a dark background. So like I couldn't read part of the message. It was just everything was so broken on the CircleCI side. And we also had a separate issue recently where one of our S3 bucket got what happened? It was a weird thing where going to the www version of our website was going to a gambling website
site. Yeah.
Something. I can't remember. I remember I did figure out the issue, but I don't remember all the details. It was something like the way DNS and S3 buckets work or something, and it ended up someone took over the bucket or something. Anyway, something happened with like S3, I think, and the DNS. So it was redirected. And I remember I temporarily fixed that. I stopped it from doing that with some DNS stuff. But then, so we had like a completely broken site. We couldn't update it. We didn't have any TLS.
And we
www
embarrassingly we found out about that because Mark from Vanguard, who was helping us do our IRL meeting, which by the way, I don't know if this thing will be out by then, but May 18th is going to be our IRL meeting.
This will be out. If you're listening to this when it drops, it's dropping on the 11th of May, so you have a few days.
So look us up on Luma, ideally, but we also are on my meetup. And if you want to join in IRL,
yeah, you can go to phillycoca.org now and get all the details. We'll keep it updated.
There you go. Boom. Going to keep it updated. But anyway, back to that.
Yeah, so that was stage one. So I got the Hugo stuff built up, and then it was the end of SBS. So I went home, and then last night, actually, I got back to this. I already had started this before and didn't get too far, but I was looking at first updating the CircleCI, which is its own thing, which is basically a continuous integration build configuration. It was like you could see it in the history. It was like a config file, and it has like instructions, and there's an S3 bucket. And anyway, I didn't have access to. We didn't have access to AWS, so like the account was set up with an email address that didn't work anymore. So we had to fix the MX records. We had to get an email address working again. And this is so bad, but it's fixed now, so we can talk about our embarrassments. And this is what happens when you don't pay attention to your infrastructure for like a while, and a pandemic flies in the middle of a leadership change too.
In our defense, running any meetup of any kind at any scale is pretty much hard work because it's volunteer.
It's harder than you think. I mean, we still have some stuff broken. We still have to fix some email addresses and stuff like that. But
that's on me. Yeah.
I was like, every time I try to do something, I was like, oh crap, where's the password for this? We don't have a password for this, or where the email address doesn't work. Like, it was just one problem. But I finally got into everything, and I figured out how to get into CircleCI and everything. I got into it, and I was like, this is not worth it, right? And then I even asked Codex, and I was like, this is not worth it, right? And Codex, being an LLM, was like, yeah, this is not worth it. You're right. See, Aaron's laughing because he gets the joke.
You're always right.
That's right. Of course the idea was correct.
Yeah.
But I have previous experience when we did BentoFit. The websites there were static sites.
Wait, hold on there.
Oh, wait.
What is BentoFit?
BentoFit.
Explain to the audience what BentoFit is.
BentoFit is our
I should get Aaron to actually describe it.
It's a simple, fast, and glanceable health kit dashboard app. So it surfaces just the metrics you need without the clutter, so you can focus on your fitness journey. That's what it says on our super fast website. It is still very much a version 1 product that I have yet to update, but it will get updated. In fact, I have to do that soon because of the way Apple's so slow in payouts and stuff, that if we actually are successful in getting payments, if we want money by the end of the year, we actually have to get this stuff out. But anyway, the BentoFit is our little dashboard app, and to make the website at bentofit.app, it's hosted on Cloudflare, and it's not even a Hugo site. It's hosted on Cloudflare because I was like, Cloudflare has a Pages product. They've had it for a long time, and among other things, they have a free tier that lets you take one of many static building systems, like Hugo is one of them, and they just have built-in support to do it. Like they have, I think they set up like some image or their Docker. I don't know how they have it input on their end, but they actually do build the whole thing. Like they run it on some kind of instance they have, just like a regular continuous integration system would. But it's just that you can kind of pick Hugo, and then it just already has everything set up, and you tell it.
So our thing is running on a Raspberry Pi.
It might
in
be
the dungeons, a little data center in Antarctica.
But in order to transition everything, though, it took a couple hours to do all this. I had to first move our DNS because our DNS is being handled by our registrar. So I wanted to move the DNS to Cloudflare because Cloudflare is a really good DNS provider, and it makes everything else easier when you want to use them for pages anyway. So I transitioned to Cloudflare, which is pretty straightforward. I did use Codex to help with this. There is also, again, to experiment with this, there is a plugin for Cloudflare you can use, and there's also a GitHub plugin, and the plugin just packages skill files and scripts and stuff. And so I was using the Cloudflare plugin, but I did not give it write access when I set it up. I only gave it read-only access. I'm a little chicken about that. I was like, no, I don't know if I trust it fully to do all that. So instead, and the same thing with GitHub. What it did have was I had to check things for me, which was useful. So it was like I went out to GitHub and checked if it exists the PRs and stuff, and then I went to Cloudflare and like checked to see if when I asked the questions, I wanted to look up stuff because Cloudflare has a terrible user interface.
You don't say.
Does any cloud provider have a good user interface?
No, I'll show you this. I'll show you guys that because we're not going to do the video of this. So
and what scale are we talking about? Because I used to like Heroku and crap the bed and maybe Linode to a small degree from what I used it for. Oh, that is nice.
Actually,
I mean, for what it is.
Let's do light mode is probably easier to see. Oh, it's
my eyes. But it's brilliant. It's
so
fine.
They keep iterating on it. So it's here's our account, and then we have domains. So I had to move the domain over, and that took a few tries, and then so you have to like click around to find it. But you gave your DNS. So our DNS entries went from this like gazillion bunch of DNS stuff to just a handful of C names and an MX record. We used to have a bunch of stuff that was going to S3, so I got rid of all that. Yeah, so it's a simple DNS setup, and then you got to go all the way to you got to go back. You got to go to compute, and where do you go? You have to go to workers and pages to set the stuff up. And then when you create, if the whole thing is so funny, when you go to create an application, to create a pages application, you have to find the tiny little text link that's below the giant one. Like let me see. I'll show you this. If you go to this, look at this. Which do I push to make a page? None of these. It's this one down here. It says get started.
No,
Yes.
That's a lie.
They really don't want you to use that.
No, that's right.
Wow, that is a lie. Wow.
Yeah,
that is like a dark. That is like the weirdest dark pattern.
It's so funny. It is because you go to this.
That is horrible.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
Right. It
you should take a screenshot. You should put a screenshot of that.
Oh, it's a light mode screenshot too.
It's like imagine like it's a fine print, right? And there's a link in your fine print. It's like your terms of service, but like deep down at the bottom of the page. You have like
that little.
There's like there are obvious buttons that says continue with GitHub, GitLab, and all the other stuff. Blah blah blah.
Because you have to do this
template.
In the next screen. You do this. You go if you click get started, then you can import a Git repo.
What is the point? Oh, jeez.
Well, it's because workers are different than the pages product. So hopefully they don't get rid of the pages product.
I'm guessing the workers make more money.
Yes, probably.
Well, bingo.
But for what we're doing,
stop making sense, Aaron.
for what? See, and where's the? How do you dismiss this? It's way over here. Okay, so the pages product is what we're using, and the free plan is plenty for us. So I set it up, and then like you have to move. You set up custom domains on the pages plan. You have to to set up. You have to set up the plugin with GitHub to get it to work. And that was fun. So I go to set up and I'm using like Codex to walk me through this because there's so many steps, and I'm doing it by hand. And it tells me like
for this.
No, there is, as I said, there's a Cloudflare plugin. If I had it on write mode, it probably could have done this for me, but I wanted to do it by hand to make sure I understood what it was doing this time. And the problem is I went to hook up the GitHub thing. I do the GitHub plugin, it does the OAuth stuff, and then it just wouldn't work. And eventually I'm just, Codex is like, just open a new tab. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll try that. So I actually had to open a whole new tab and log in again, and then it worked. And then it showed me I was connected. I was like, God, Cloudflare. Anyway, you basically set up just like a regular CI. You set up the build command. I got this from Codex, the build command.
Okay.
So this is what I use Codex for, to tell me how to set this up, so I didn't have to think about it, even though I have done it before. But not for Hugo. I never did it for Hugo. So it gave me the Hugo build command, the output directory, and then it gave me this gave me the Hugo version as environment variable, so that we can pin it, so that way the CI system doesn't upgrade Hugo underneath of us if we're not ready for that. And really, that's it. There's not much to it. You kind of just walk through a whole bunch of really poorly designed screens, and you get it built, and then it'll build it when you I have it set up so when master gets updated, it builds it.
So
and I guess it gets a webhook.
Where's the button that says deploy, or where's the
this is not set up that way. This is set up with a GitHub integration. So
okay.
I wonder
so when you use their workers, that's when this gets kicked.
Let's see if it even tells you in here. This is what I mean, where it's like, so you have a Git repository hooked up, and then branch control, production branches, master, automatic deployments are enabled. So that's where that happens. So when I don't know how their plugin works. But there's a plugin for GitHub that's installed on the GitHub side, an integration. So if you, okay, I can't log in there right now, but
yeah,
there is
we get the point.
Yeah, there's a GitHub thing. So I think it might be a webhook, might be something else. So it gets told when master gets updated, it'll build, and then if you look at it, like the first time I deployed it, it literally does a whole build like you would expect, like if you were looking in your terminal. And then it deploys it to a specific Pages website URL that I don't see it. This is what I mean about Cloudflare's website being confusing. But yeah, so there's like a special, like a pages.dev URL, and then in order for everything to work, you set up custom domains. And this is why you want to transfer DNS to Cloudflare for the smoothest transition of this, because when you have to set up these custom domains, and it's just so much easier if you're on Cloudflare for your DNS provider, then it happens much faster, and you don't have to manually set things up on your DNS provider. It just does whatever it needs to do, and also handles SSL, everything for you. So it just all kind of works, and you basically just click some buttons and you wait a while for it to work, and not long. And then when everything says active, it's working. And I also had to set up a rule on here to redirect www, so www redirects affiliatecoco.org, which is the usual thing I think people do nowadays. I know it's been like a debate since the 90s at least, or what they did, but I have it redirected. So it does at least, yeah. I mean, I remember it was like when you could do non-www URLs when browsers would load them. It was like, should you redirect to www? So I have it set up as a 301 redirect, which is the typical way of doing this. Cloudflare is weird, though. I mean, I'm getting too in the weeds maybe about Cloudflare, but Cloudflare's DNS is slightly strange. If I can find out how to get back. See what I mean about
this is amazing. This is amazing. This is amazing. For anybody that's just listening, this is amazing commentary around good UX.
Bad UX.
And bad UX. And so Cloudflare has excellent UX, just phenomenal UX.
I mean,
it is,
some of it's okay,
it is
some of it's
top
terrible.
tier. It is almost S tier level.
Have you seen AWS?
No AWS.
Yeah. I was in AWS first too. So here's the thing.
Not AWS tier.
Yeah, it's
not AWS tier. Not there yet. Not there yet. Getting there.
The one thing that's cool about them is you could do it does a CNAME for the zone apex. And they have a whole help article about this, because this shouldn't even be possible to do this. But because when you do pages,
I like how it has like a random info icon.
Yeah,
right
because
there.
this is not technically supposed to be possible to do in DNS. Like to have a CNAME for your apex domain, your no www, your apex domain, and then it redirects it gives a CNAME to their actual pages, like the actual server that actually has your stuff hosted on it. They have some article about this you can look at. You can learn about how they do that. But that's one of the things that makes Cloudflare cool. They do that, and they proxy everything, so you get CDN, all that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of it. I mean, that's probably hard to follow if you're just listening. Sorry. Basically, I took the Hugo website and I got it set up so it automatically deploys to Cloudflare Pages, and it's really fast now. So that was my side project for the week, basically getting that to work. And I also set up other little minor things, like I went in and put protection on the master branch so that you, and I have it currently set up, I think, so you have to go through a PR to update it, only because I figure we don't want to make it too easy to update the production website. Like maybe have one step to like at least double check that we're sure, before we send it out. And I went into AWS. That was a whole adventure. I had to log in as like a user of AWS and find the S3 buckets. Did you know we had 2 S3 buckets, like old versions of the website on it? I didn't. I thought we only had 1, but we had 2. And so I disabled them entirely. So they're like not, if anything was grabbing data from them, they're not anymore.
Yep.
And AI crawl control is on. So we can control the bots that are hitting the website all the time now.
You don't want the bots to feed on our data? Munch.
No, not really. Like
you're assuming they actually respect those.
Well, Cloudflare will block stuff. Like look at this. Here's our crawlers. I don't know what Pedalbot is, but it's tried 20 times to hit something on our website since last night. Since I put this up, and it's been unsuccessful.
You should ask Codex, what is Pedalbot? It's like, that's my friend.
Huawei, I don't know. But it's blocked. But Applebot's allowed. SearchBot is like it automatically allows these things depending on what rules you have. So that's useful. But man, we got like actually we got like a bunch of requests like for some reason for stuff. It just it's look, we got, well, these are only 7. These aren't very much, but some of these sites had it like a whole bunch of empty requests going to like thousands of requests. I don't know what they were for. Oh, look, people are going to podcast ones. We should set up redirects for these, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, but people actually hit our site, and it's all bots. But
I mean, so you mean not really people,
things,
just
nothing.
Things are hitting our site. It's like flies,
hitting our site
with little mosquitoes.
Yeah, I'm looking. We got like 41 requests in the last 20. I don't know, whatever. So I got it working, and now the next step is for us to maybe redesign the website. There's a whole bunch of issues that I started going through on GitHub that are still relevant from like 2017.
Even like resetting the what was it, the user stuff, and I'm sorry, not the leadership team and that kind of thing.
Leadership team,
figuring out like basic stuff.
I figured we're probably going to stick with a static site, but if we don't, we can always change it, because Cloudflare, the one thing I'll say, Cloudflare's UI is terrible, but their DNS is nice. I mean, once you get to the DNS page, it's easy to do DNS stuff. And once you have a good DNS provider, I mean, you can it's easy to fix things, move things around, and change your providers. That's the beauty about the classic web, maybe we'll call it. DNS. I love DNS. I used to work at an ISP, man. I used to manually manage DNS records on I think it was Bind was the software on a Linux machine.
Speaking of classic, I guess you can say classic internet or classic development, I feel like you having been through the vibes, having been through the spec-driven lifestyle, you're feeling that itch to come back home and write some handcrafted code. Is that my understanding of what we talked about before, or is that going to be a thing?
This is our AI hype update.
Oh yeah, AI update. Oh,
I don't know about you guys. So I have been feeling. Yeah, we need a jingle. We really need a jingle.
We do need it. This is the hype section.
I have been feeling like, well, I've been thinking, for one thing, I've used these things. I've used like the cutting edge models and stuff. And I first of all do not have the same experience that the most ardent AI bros have. Well, like the people running like, Gas Town and or 20 agents or whatever. Like, I don't do that. I don't think that is useful for anything.
Well, first of all, you need the right amount of money for that. So if you don't have 20K, I don't have the right money for that.
It's not something I think is useful for me right now. So I haven't even tried. And I feel like I am increasingly feeling like the industry is losing sight of the fundamentals of what LLMs are good for and what they're not good for. And I do see decisions being made that I feel like are going to be really regretful from like a larger industry basis. Like we talked before about, how do you get senior developers if no one's learning anything as a junior. And for me, I just feel like we've talked about this before. I am trying to find ways to keep my skills up. It's not like I don't use the stuff at all, but I'm wondering, like, I think maybe I should I might want to spend some time, like a day a week maybe, where I don't use it at all for something if I can, the LLMs. And there's also the economic problems that are coming up where it's really expensive. And like, even for my day job, I don't know how expensive it is, but I know it's very limited access because it's expensive. And they keep pushing these models updates recently that if you jump on board them, they don't seem to be all that much better in a lot of ways, but they seem to be way more expensive. But it's also like and this makes it difficult to use these LLMs sometimes when you're actually thinking about it, whether it's your money or you're actually trying to be careful with your employer's money. Now, some places are telling people to just go hog wild, whatever, but I don't want to waste my employer's money because I think it's a privilege to be able to use these cutting edge tools and have the freedom I do. So I take the responsibility very seriously to use these in a professional manner. And so I'm trying not to
you don't want to use this like a drunken sailor,
No, exactly. But here's
like
the problem.
A compulsive gambler. You don't want to keep
exactly.
pulling the lever.
Well, I know it is like a slot machine.
But keep pulling that lever.
But here's the problem. Like, I don't know if you guys have this problem, but if you're thinking about it from the economic standpoint, there's just like no way to know how much anything will cost. Like, in any way you measure it, money wise.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
What are you concerned?
Well,
what's wrong? You're holding it wrong.
Hold on.
I'm holding it wrong. Yeah.
Let me check my works. Like, if I'm over my credit at the moment, let me just take a real quick check.
I've gone over my credits, I'm
good. I still got 50%. I'm good.
Nice. Well, that's the thing. You can do one thing, and like one prompt can cost you a significant percentage of your 5-hour limit or whatever, and then or it could be nothing. It depends on the model, depends on what you're doing, depends on tool calls, depends on so many factors that you have no insight on. And even if you had better like visual insight, you still don't know in advance. And then you could be generating all this code and you just have to throw it out. Because a lot of proponents talk about the thing that LLMs give you is the speed at generating syntax, which can be an advantage for a lot of types of parts of projects, but it doesn't solve most of the problems of software engineering.
Yeah, it's funny how all the big proponents completely ignore the cost.
Right. That's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah, it seems like that. It seems like they maybe have an interest in ignoring the cost. I don't know. Maybe they just have.
They just assume you have an unlimited token budget.
Maybe, because if you do, so it's like some of the things that are really popular on the online, like the Ralph loop and like 20 agents running all night and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would never do that on my personal account.
No, I wouldn't do it for work.
I wouldn't do it at work either. But
no, I mean, they at the end of the month they'd be like, "What the heck?" If I did
what if they say it's okay? What do they give you the tools?
Well, if they said you want to try it out, I would probably try it out maybe, but I think it would probably not end well.
No, it won't. You need to make a few mistakes. I mean, the thing that makes this tough is like there's in the path of learning, right? There is always going to be the friction that you're going to come across. Like, you don't know what you don't know, right? So like and this is an expensive don't know, right? Because like if you're building this thing on, like, you're already getting paid to do this work, right? To code. And now they're saying, hey, we're going to give you this bazooka, do your job 10 times better.
By the way, it costs 20% of your salary or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know
Okay.
Well, it costs some percentage extra.
What is like the equivalent, like the ballistic missile or something, like some horrible analogy. Anyway, the point is that they're giving you this tool to spray more of the code that you normally would spray, and not put any thought into how you spray it.
To attack, I mean, it's it's syntax. It's and I know we don't have time to go into super detail about it, but
yeah,
I've been reminded lately about not just the economics of it, but the fact that LLMs solve a very specific problem, and that specific problem is not the primary problem with software engineering we've talked about before. I read some stuff on that was referencing No Silver Bullet by Fred Brooks. If you never read that, I'll put a link in the show notes to that and to the blog entry I was reading, which is by James Bennett. It's called Let's Talk About LLMs. It's a really long piece, and it kind of is like the similar views I think that we've had before on the show, where like LLMs they don't understand things. They're like, they are good at, they're good at generating boilerplate and stuff like that, but they're not great at the core parts of software engineering, which, as Fred Brooks points out, there's like essential aspects and there's essential complexity and accidental complexity. This is like a Aristotelian thing, but there's different kinds of complexity in software engineering, and writing the code, creating the syntax. Even in 1986, I think that's when he wrote the paper, that was identified as not the most impactful thing. Like even then they said if you could take that down to zero, like even if you had an LLM today that took down the generation code to like 0 time, like that doesn't solve the majority of the problem. It doesn't give you a 10x boost in productivity, because that's not the issue. Like, and this hit me when I've been working on a project at work where I have not really generated much code in a while because I've been working on the design. I've been working on like there's lots and lots of decisions that need to be made and pieces, and some of it involves like, what things do we have available, and what other parties in the organization have to be involved, or what other systems do we have, or like what do we have now that we want to change into this updated system? Like, what kind of compatibility do I need to keep? Like, there's just like endless questions that an LLM does not help you with. Like, if you ask it, it's just going to give you some random answer, or it's not going to give you anything useful because it's very specific to your organization. And it's like designing the data structures, choosing like algorithms, making decisions about architecture, dealing with the people involved in this, the organizational, groups you have to deal with. Like, there's all these other things involved that LLMs do not really help that much with, outside of like research, maybe, some parts that can help with research. But the hype is so much that it's like all I ever hear is, oh, software engineers are dead. Like, like it's always 6 months until our jobs are gone because a robot, it can just do it. And I'm just like, I don't see that happening anytime soon. And so the whole thing's getting exhausting for me. I think, Aaron, you were saying you're getting exhausted reading the code, right?
Yep, and answering questions.
Yeah, from the LLM.
Yeah,
like questions. Yeah. I mean, it's like it gets tired, and that's
because you still have to make those architectural decisions.
Yeah. And you know what happened? The first time I built this like little prototype thing. So this is one of the things it's good for, is like building prototypes. I did that, but it used up a ton of tokens to generate a thing that I threw away, basically, for the most part, because
good point.
And when I'm trying to build this architecture, it overly complicates things from the start. So I have to keep trying to pull it back or just do things by hand in like in the architectural document. I'm kind of tracking my thoughts on. It's like it's this constant struggle with the freaking robot that just wants to spew tokens out. Just wants to spew syntax out.
One thing I did notice, and I'm not sure whether I like it or I don't like it, but I do notice, especially if you're picking like one of the higher end ones, is that sometimes you're asked it to do something that you think is pretty straightforward, and it'll do something clever. Like you'll do it and almost like overly refactor, and I'm half my brain goes, okay, that's interesting. I don't know if I would do that for the sake of clarity, because my style is less about like redundant code, is more so like it's consistent code. So it's easy to read. And so, yeah. So I struggle with that one.
No, I mean, and also some of the models are worse than others at doing this. Like I'm currently in 5.4 most of the time because 5.5 is so expensive. But there's an example where we have like a SQL statement that was made. It was generated by this, or at least partially generated by this. And we were looking at it, and it has like the section that was put on the end of it, which is doing like a cast and stuff. And we're like, I don't think it has to do that, because I think the data type is already being cast that before it gets to this point. And you're like, what is it even in there for? And you're like, and it's in there because the LLM's code is being excessively defensive. And that's one of the characteristics of like the 5.3 and 5.4 models, I think, from ChatGPT. It's like excessively defensive. Like if you ask it to remove something, it'll often remove it and then like insert code to make sure that it was removed. You know what I mean? So it's like it'll insert code to check that it was removed or something. Or like do a test, and it's like, so you have to struggle with these things, and so you look at somebody like Uncle Bob, who's been doing some really fascinating posts as he's exploring this, but he describes this intricate, multi-level bunch of tests and constraints and tools around this stuff, and it's like at some point I'm just like, given the economics and given that this is not fun to do anyway, and given that you're not looking at the code, so I just feel like where's the point where this is worth just doing it by hand again?
So the programming is not fun, or the
using the tools is not always fun. Using LLMs is not always, and the other people said this too.
You don't feel like you're getting those dopamine hits when it does the thing that 80% of the thing that you want it to do, and then you don't think about the other 20% that's going to drive you nuts?
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, it's useful when it's... See, I had much more success in the iOS project I had because I had this modular thing that I wrote by hand mostly. And even there, it's overcomplicating stuff and doing like giant, single file views. That's another thing they like to do, giant single file things.
Oh my goodness.
But there I had more success because I was asking it to do smaller things. And the context was like kind of automatically restricted more because it was already modularized, so I didn't have to read in as many files to do work. And so it was useful to do some stuff in there. So that was really, really useful, and I think that was very productive use of the time. But then I'm doing like a more of a greenfield thing now, which is like redesigning something I did before to make it like a better version of a system, and have to re-implement it in a different language that I haven't used in a long time, and have to put it on a different server system than we had before, and it's like all different. And when you do greenfield, it's just like bazooka of tokens, bazooka of syntax. It's just like if you're not really, really careful and very constrained with what you're asking it to do, it just spits out so much stuff, and you're like, stop. I actually have stopped it before in the middle of it doing stuff, like stop generating.
I wonder, for the verbosity, so much like tokens spewed, and I really wish that there was Aaron, maybe you can correct me, but maybe both of you can correct me. Do you have is there in the Codex and or Claude or any of these services, is there a dashboard that tells you total input and output tokens burned for whatever your month usage is?
I don't have access
and I just
to
mean tokens. I don't care about credits or anything like that.
Depends on the tool you're using, but a lot of them really hide the actual tokens.
Because if we saw the amount of tokens we were using and abusing, right?
Yeah,
it should give us pause.
I think the upper management can see certain things. I don't know. I got asked to try to calculate.
I'm sure upper management can see those things because they want you to use as many tokens as they possibly can.
Well, no, not my. I mean, I don't think my workplace is not telling me to use as many as possible. I'm being given the freedom to use these tools responsibly. That's what my mandate is, to use them responsibly and for my job. And that is what I'm allowed to use them for. And that is, it's something that not many of us have access to because it is potentially extremely expensive, because it's not so easy to know. This is part of the experiment. Why I'm using it is we're trying to figure out how do you deploy this kind of thing to a lot of people and control the costs. I think that's probably it's not my thing, part of it, but it's something that I'm sure upper management is thinking about.
This is what strikes me as weird about it. The whole thing in that context, right? So if you're doing it to develop a product, right? So that the end goal is that, because a lot of the products that we build to the public is actually free from a cost perspective. You download the app the usage is free, generally speaking. So there's no cost to them, right? So we're not getting any of that money back. So then, okay, fine. So then if, for example, the scary thing to me is if you actually start using backend services with with some LLM in the background doing something like search or even a simple chat interface, right?
Just as an example. Part of your system.
Yeah, as part of the system, right?
Yeah.
So now it's an ongoing cost, right? That exponentially gets worse depending on the more users you give this out to for free to, right? So then what's the cost in that? So now you've you got cost of your developers and all your employees using it. You got the cost of it being used by your consumers. Where's the ROI? I hate to be that businessy guy, but the bean counter, but
I mean, it's very difficult to calculate ROI on software projects to begin with, and
but that one is that's added cost.
Yeah, and
unnecessarily.
I think that. The Primogen did that video about the AI economy is about to change because recently you're seeing GitHub Copilot changing to token based billing and stuff. The true cost of using at least the frontier lab models has been somewhat hidden because of the subscriptions that most people use, right? And at the enterprise level, I think I've been seeing some stories of businesses being surprised by token usage, like their bills are higher than they expected. And I think it's because it's as we said earlier, it's really hard to gauge how much it'll cost when you're using it for anything, like not just building, but even when you're using it as a backend thing. I don't think that the frontier labs have much of an incentive to make it cheaper for you, really. But it's all the economics, and part of it is because the economics are just hard to figure out too. Like, I'm not going to say it's all nefarious stuff. It's just really difficult to figure out how much anything will cost because of the nature of the technology, like before you actually use it for something.
But even if you said, okay, fine, right? But the hype,
it's pushing people,
What makes it weird, or not weird, but like, it's almost like if I had to make a really bad analogy, but the one that like fits in my brain a little bit better is like the console wars, right? Where like the PlayStation and the Xbox was always pushing at the edge of the technology of a console. Like they would always push you would never expect Nintendo to catch up with any of them because they just don't have either the finance, the expertise, the logistics, whatever you want to do to like compete in that game. They've already committed. They already said, we've lost that battle, right? So our pivot, so to speak, in this, console war was to like kind of optimize on lower end hardware, lower end, and like sort of create a package. Aside from the fact that they own a lot of very desirable
for
IP,
the N64 and GameCube, where they were actually pretty cutting edge,
right? Yeah, that's fair. But I think at that point they like started that war, and then they probably on the GameCube era,
the Wii U and the Switch 2, they're all considerably less powerful and
less powerful. Even the Switch 2, right? If you
the Switch 2 is less powerful, I think, than the other consoles.
I mean, powerful enough, but
like, But yeah, it's because they're optimizing for fun and for certain experiences.
But that's my point, right? So so when I think about this, paint it on this and the LLM world, right? Like I think like we really haven't figured out a way to optimize the ones that are here, right? That are
exactly.
In work, like give it like a year or something, guys. Like calm down. Like
you
can do the frontier model.
The hype is pushing, and you see this in the news. Like it's pushing firms to adopt the technology before it is necessarily justifiable from an ROI perspective in all things. Like it's one thing to experiment with it, sure, but it's very different to be like, all of your developers, we're gonna have a leaderboard, and I'm sure this is not like as widespread as it seems to be in the media right now, but like let's have a leaderboard of token usage, which is like the ridiculous metric to be tracking and wanting to go up. Oh, that's like literally like, here, developers, here's money, just burn it. How fast can you burn these $100 bills at your desk every day?
Yeah, but I think I've talked about this before, but I don't think any of these companies have anything that's like beyond a research product. It's like so far from something that should be released to consumers, but they just did it anyway.
Oh, you mean the frontier labs, like OpenAI? Yeah. I mean,
it's like these things are not ready for production, but they just shipped it.
I think they're barely useful for professional for aspects of syntax generation now.
We're just like we're glorified beta testers.
Yeah, we are definitely. Yeah, I mean, as I said like when earlier in the year, it was like it wasn't until the end of 2025, beginning of 2026, I think, that the tools and the models were good enough at the frontier to be useful to a professional developer, and they're not like replacing anybody on technical merits.
It's like, it's still only useful as like, oh, this is an interesting research project.
Yeah,
like trying out using these things. It's like we're just participating in this giant research experiment.
But as I described earlier with the Cloudflare stuff, find opportunity. There are places where if the problem set matches the capabilities, it's something that's like, it's not that complicated. It's something that's well represented in the training data. It's something where you can have like good tooling, like good plugins, good command line tools, good skill files, whatever. For like, you can use these frontier models to do not even the frontier models. I actually did some of this with, I think, one of the Kimi models.
It doesn't. The thing is, like the summaries, for example, they don't require a frontier model,
right? And yeah.
And a lot of times, like, people will just default to whatever the highest is, so because they're not paying attention.
Which is why
nobody's really trained them on, like, okay,
I'm waiting till like one of these models that I can run on my Mac without spending $10,000 is good enough. And I think they're
WWDC's
getting there.
coming.
Yeah, but unfortunately, because of the RAM shortage, it's going to be really expensive.
Just like whatever Mac you happen to have, when you can run a model that can do useful work.
I mean, it depends. That's what I'm saying. It depends on what's useful, because I think that one of the issues is people using the most expensive models, the most inefficient models, to do things that you don't need them for. But again, because we are glorified beta testers, it's not always clear what model you would need, what settings you would need to do a particular task until you try it. And even then, because it is kind of like a slot machine, it could work one turn and fail the next time.
I worry sometimes when I set Copilot to auto, right? So it'll auto pick which model I use.
Yeah.
I'm not paying attention to like which one it actually makes a decision on, when like it'll pick like Opus when Sonnet is totally fine.
Yeah, there's no auto on Codex. You got to pick your model.
Yeah. Well, we're stuck with Copilot, so it does give us.
Hey, I can't even sign up for it. So, but we're clearly in the age where like we're still figuring this stuff out, and I think that the hype it was funny at first, and now I think it's becoming really detrimental, because the adults need to come in the room here and be like, hey guys, like look, there's like crazy stuff about people are believing these things are conscious potentially, or they believe that and they believe that
one.
No, it keeps coming up.
It really does?
It keeps coming up.
I'm out of the social media
with
spheres.
more and more prominent people falling for this stuff, and we have firms spending all this money, and it's like, what are we getting for it? Calm down, people. Calm down. Like, the hype is beyond the reality, even when you can find really useful things for the LLMs.
Assuming that the crash happens, et cetera, post crash. Let's go past the crash.
Yeah, post crash.
Where do you think the LLM usefulness will show up in terms of like, okay, like we're past the hype. We're actually using the models that are actually in reasonable shape. Maybe it could be like the foundation models become so good, we don't need to use the frontier models for like 90% of the stuff, right?
Yeah, for the cheaper models, yeah.
The cheaper models, right? Look,
I think we need clear economics on this stuff. Like, we need to know what the real price is for stuff. And so that's kind of step one. They actually kind of have to stop subsidizing the subscriptions. But then you can kind of gauge where the utility is for the cost. Because when you ask that question, it's not even just a technical question, it's an economics question.
Mm-hmm.
You need to pick the price and performance trade-offs for the specific tasks. That's like a standard thing you do for all kinds of software. And I think, though, the real use case is like, you're going to, again, the universal UI thing, I think that is becoming a reality more slowly than maybe originally intended. But like, you do have some, like, Copilot is like, even Copilot, which Copilot? The 365 Copilot, at least, got updated.
Wait, are we talking about what was originally Office?
Let's not go down that rabbit hole. We don't have time for that. But yes, I'm talking about...
Is that what we're talking about? That Copilot?
Yes. Yeah, I think. It's one of the Copilots. Anyway, my point is, even now you see, even Microsoft finally got around to doing it so I can ask it to do things on my calendar, for instance. I mean, it does them poorly. It's very slow and there's no UI for it, but it
promise you, ask it to make you a PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, no, I've done that. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is you could
absolute
the
garbage.
Universal UI thing. The universal UI concept was that you could talk to your computer and have it do things with the regular software you have, and I am seeing that happen slowly. It's not like where I thought it might. Where it's not where it needs to be. But it's getting there.
I will use your universal gambling. Universal UI. I was like a Freudian slip there. Universal gambling.
Yeah, well, it does feel like that some days.
But I will double down on this idea of like being able to say, maybe we'll all have machines that will stay online all the time, like a Mac Mini or something like that. But then we will use our phone to have it run tasks using iMessage or something. Hey, and it'll return back the results, like, so hey, I need... Yeah.
But
basically Clawbot,
secure.
like literally Clawbot, or what is it now? OpenClaw, literally that.
Things, yeah. No, yeah, I think the personal assistant thing is
within. You can imagine Apple being like, okay, we're just going to lock these down because we own all this. We own Pages. We own all the other things. We can have automations and hooks in areas that the other ones can't. And we can say, hey, it's privacy first, quote unquote. And then we can say, hey, you know what? You want to schedule something and then link it and have it hooked through shortcuts to do a pipeline, to do all these sort of like interactions between apps. If your other apps get exposed, if they expose their app intents, then all of a sudden we're living in a world where you can just be like, I send something through iMessage that does work on my Mac Mini at home, and then returns me the results in a chart or something like that with Swift charts.
And I do think that the edge computing for the LLMs is where the future is. I think the limiting factor now is that all the AI data center build out has caused such a shortage in like wafers, wherever we can't get enough components to build out the devices that work now.
You won't need. Like, it can work with your existing machine. Like, it'll be a paradigm shift in how you use your laptop, basically, or how you use your machine. Right, but
you still need a certain amount of resources for the current cutting edge of local LLMs to be useful. But again, useful depends on what you're doing. But they are good at, even at the lower level LLMs, they're still pretty good at, I think, at understanding ambiguity. The hard part is you got to get them to be able to do the tool calls or equivalent of that. Well, right,
but then
the smaller model.
This is where Apple Intelligence, iCloud, and all that services that
which is going to run on Google
Gemini.
It's going to run Google backend servers.
Right.
Which I'm like, so they're going to be fighting for capacity like everybody else is my point about it.
Yeah, well, you know well, that's a different Apple problem. We'll let Tim Cook or whoever
Turnus
take over for that issue.
But besides the University UI thing, I mean, I think that they're still useful. It's useful for software development. I do think eventually the hype about it, like automating software development, is going to die down, and you're going to have a mixture of uses from like hand coding things to Gastown and everywhere in between. And most people are going to be much more in between than they are towards the Gastown end. I think that's probably likely. And I think that you're just going to see more the generative stuff just more integrated better into regular user interfaces like Apple's been doing. Like they'll just be features, and they'll stop. Maybe they'll still tell you it's AI generated or something, but it'll just become like a normal feature. Just like the photo stuff is like a normal feature. Text summarization is just kind of a button now. Places,
I mean, and you use your Apple
it's normal
AirPods
software
to make your requests, and you'll update your phone, update your computer. You won't be using your keyboard.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I just think that the LLM stuff, the generative stuff,
like
is normal. It's normal software to me. I don't see it as like this birth. It's not like in the Matrix where we birthed AI and it created a town in where did it create a town in Africa or something? It created somewhere in Australia. I don't know. In the lore of the Matrix, Matrix, before the movie, the robots created like their own little city, and anyway, and we went to war with them.
I forgot about that.
But anyway, remember Morpheus was like, oh, the humanity. We were basking in our own genius or whatever as we birthed AI. Like I don't think that's the scenario. Where I think it's more like we created a useful tool and we're going to continue using it and finding uses for it that are more depending on the economic efficiency of it.
I mean, it's so funny. I mean, we can get into the whole sci-fi lore. I always view like robots as like if they really wanted to take over. I mean, assuming that they have wants and needs, right? Like the whole self-preservation thing feels a little bit odd. There's like a different level of objective. Like everything about an AI, quote unquote AI, like an actual AI, would react and do things very differently and very efficiently, and then without our noticing until like it's too late. Well, they're not doing monologues. And if they do, they're like doing 20 million computations that are and tweaks and things and actions like behind your back.
It's an LLM. It's a lot less.
The LLM will do monologues. They don't monologue.
Well, they'll monologue you to death, and they'll tell you you're right. You're right. I am a bad person.
You're right. I'm trying to take over the world.
Robot. I am trying to take over the world. And no, I'm not going to stop.
I saw a great. I mean, we're way over time now, but I saw a great video about the Matrix recently, and pointing out like one of the books that they were supposed to read to go in that, and they intentionally treat the machines as organic. Kind of like, and you see that everywhere in the movie. They're not like the squid monsters. Even in the prequel, when the robots first create a city, it looks kind of like mold or something growing, or from the top. It's a bunch of little machines. It's always, if you notice, it's always when the actual machine in the real world, they're always like groups of machines that come together to form the face, all that kind of stuff. That's because the idea is that they're blending the organic and the machine, and to an extent, I think that is, what we're doing, because that's what we do. We take our machines and we have our phones always on us, so it's like basically an extension of us now. And we're gonna have, we have the watches that have biometrics. They're gonna have the AirPods, rumor is, that have like little cameras to get information or something about the environment. And you got like the weird thing, whatever OpenAI is gonna make, they're gonna make their own phone, I guess, and because that always works competing with Apple.
It's a big gold chain. Because, Johnny Ive loves his gold, right? So
gold?
It's big...
Yeah, solid gold chain.
Solid gold chain.
No, I heard they're going to make a real phone.
With like an egg.
Phone too. Yeah, an egg maybe.
They finally gave up on whatever their form factor they were trying to do before.
I don't know, man. I don't know why companies...
It's going to have...
Tech companies always want to
realize it's just a phone.
They don't want to be an app on a phone. They want you and I to give up the entire Apple ecosystem that we're in so that we can buy the OpenAI phone. It's so ludicrous.
Well, one thing that maybe not as ludicrous as you might think, because one of the things that's interesting about it, going back to what we talked about, is like if you're driving all your computations and all your requests through that phone, that becomes the universal AI, quote unquote. And if they use something like a Linux, like Ubuntu, I forgot what it's called. It's like a Linux phone. There's a Linux phone out there, right? That I think Ubuntu is like a big, is the front facing part of this. It's not great. But the point is like you could probably reskin it and make it. I'm sorry, but
it's not great.
It's Linux.
Reskin it, so
it's Linux. UX is not their bread and butter. Let's just be real. But if OpenAI is like, I'll go Johnny Ive with my flat design and it'll be so beautiful and it'll be made of glass and aluminum and it'll look good and it'll be flat and clean and very vibrant and
I'm just saying. I mean, even a universal UI, you're not replacing all user interfaces with. text
I guess that's probably the plan, right?
Maybe that is their idea, but that's
you don't need any
ridiculous.
apps. So
but
you
you
can
do
get your own phone.
But you do But when I want a map or something, I want a map app. I don't want, and I don't want a widget.
You don't want an AI
you get a widget, sir.
Map.
Yeah, you get a map that's not
I've heard
correct.
this before. They're like, oh, we don't need apps or anything because it'll just generate the little mini app with the UI you need. I was like, are you kidding me?
Look,
you want me to use a slot machine to generate
Steve,
every little thing I need? How expensive would that be, even if it worked?
You've said for the longest you wanted a lightweight Lightroom replacement. There you go. You just ask it. You ask this universal UI, give me a Lightroom.
Terabytes of photos and a
just stick it in this
decades old whatever Lightroom's catalog format is. It has all the edits in it, and let me vibe slop generate a replacement and then entrust all of that data to it. Totally going to work out.
Steve, it's going to work out. You are right, Steve. It's going to work out.
I am right.
It's going to work out.
You don't even need the app. You just put your raw photos into the LLM.
In the LLM, and just hope that I can get it back out again later somehow. Yeah. Just don't worry about it.
Yeah, man. No mistakes.
Yeah. No mistakes. Don't lose my data.
Make this look better. Don't delete my data.
Don't leave.
Don't delete my hard drive.
I guess to wrap it up over time. I guess to wrap it up over time that I think we're all a little tired, boss. About some of this stuff, and
we're just getting it out of our chest.
You seem a little tired.
Yeah. I would be the only thing I would be excited about is if I had a maxed out MacBook Pro or something with 128 gigs of RAM or something.
I don't even, can you even buy that?
No,
can you buy 128 gigs right now?
I don't know.
Maybe on the MacBook
is it that bad?
But yeah.
Yeah, they removed the top tier.
Then I would
from
have
the
fun
studio.
playing with all the local models. But
really,
for the Mac Studio.
Yes, local models. I agree with Aaron here. I think the local models are going to increasingly be a thing, and I think firms are going to increasingly look to run their own models on their own hardware in their own little data centers or whatever, because it depends on what you're doing, your size, your organization, whatever. But you don't necessarily need to spend gazillions of dollars to run the frontier models for all the stuff you're doing. Honestly,
yes,
the software.
Yes, you do, Steve. Yes, you do.
Yeah, but it could be like SaaS, where it's just cheaper in the long run to just use it. But I don't know. If you could run it on your machine, I definitely think that there's a lot of ROI
okay,
there.
Aaron. So I'm speccing out this MacBook Pro or
Okay. Can you
MacBook
share your screen. I mean, I
M5
know we're over time
Max.
now, but we're gonna.
Is it
M5 Max.
$10,000?
I'm already at I'm only at $4,400, and I haven't even selected the RAM yet.
Yeah.
But the RAM, to get to 128, the RAM is like $1,000 extra. So now
That's all?
cheap. I know, right? That's all.
That's 5,400. Yeah, 504,000.
Oh my
but
god!
For 12 months, if you pay in installments, you can do it for $450. That includes a 2 terabyte hard drive.
It's a bargain.
It's a bargain.
It's a bargain.
Get that in 2 XDR displays, and you're set.
Jeez. Well, I mean,
who's going to talk me into it?
Do you
have
that? Who's going to talk you into it?
You have like $16,000 to send, or $12,000 or $16,000, nothing, something like that. It's between like 12, 13, $15,000.
You need to take some money out of your retirement.
Yeah, take some retirement money out there. I need an emergency pull from my. Okay, why?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I needed to buy 2 XDR displays to go with my $5,000 laptop, so I could run my open source models.
I mean, we've talked about.
I don't think you need any displays for that.
In fact, I think
same money then. You still need displays. Yeah.
Aaron, we've talked about this a lot. I mean, just pull out $40K and just max out some Mac Minis, not Mac Minis.
Buy some GPUs,
Mac Studios.
Just like that shoe company.
Buy some GPUs.
And
no. You just buy
one
some
GPU.
Mac Studios. Just buy 4 Mac Studios.
Mac Studios are old right now.
You can't get enough RAM on the Mac Studios anymore for this. That's the thing. You cannot buy the hardware that people were buying to do these local arrays to most cost effectively.
Only
you can't get 128
gigs.
anymore. Yeah, and look at the minis. You have to buy a higher end mini, and they got rid of I think the 32 gig model or something like that. Basically, I think they're saving RAM for the MacBooks. And you're right. They're also going to try to upgrade it to M5 or whatever 6, whatever the heck a trip. I'm losing track of which chip right now.
I'll have to check Mac Rumors Buyer's Guide or how long it's been since they've upgraded the Mac Studio. But yes,
I don't think. I mean, I think that's a good indicator. But the problem is, I think Apple is with everybody else. They're dealing with the massive shortages, and that they are economizing here. That they're picking and choosing the specific products and the variations in the product lines because they cannot keep up with. I don't think they can literally build every variant of all their products.
48 gigs of RAM. What is this? RAM for ants? What is?
Yeah, I know. 48 gigs. I know.
That's it.
Look at a 14-inch Pro version of MacBook Pro, the Pro chip. You cannot get 36 gigs of RAM or whatever. I have an M1 Pro for work.
Goodness,
that's 32 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte. You cannot even make that equivalent configuration anymore. That used to be off-the-shelf configuration. Almost. I think.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You have to. The version, the equivalent of that is 24 gigs now, which is a downgrade. To go to 36, I think you need to go to the Max or something. So you need to go to 48 to keep the Pro chip, and I think you can do a 48 with 1 terabyte with the Pro chip. But if you want to do any other variation of RAM, you have to go to the Max, and it adds it's so complicated buying a Mac now. They don't have any off-the-shelf ones easily labeled. You have to go and click all these boxes to configure everything now because of the freaking RAM shortage, I think, because they want to make sure that they're driving you to the right combination that they can make for you and get the most profit from or whatever. It's annoying.
So it's okay. We'll get there. That's all we have for today. You can learn more about Philly Cocoa at phillycocoa.org. There you'll find links to our Slack group, meetup schedule, contact info, and I think that's it. If you're feeling generous, leave a generous review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your podcast platform of choice is, and share us with all your developer friends. And one more thing, my goodness. So Steve, I thought my LLM skills was going to get me a new job. No, I'm sorry. I thought my LLM skills got me this current job, but it turns out I was just a token hire.
Oh my God.
Yep, the dad jokes are back.
Yes. Also, our next in real life meeting is coming up May 14th. I'll put a link in
May
the show
14th
notes.
At the Vanguard building at the Philly office. Really nice building. Free pizza, drinks. 5:45 is when the opening start. We're going to have 4 really good talks, and only one of them are about LLMs. So
Oh, yeah? Can you tell it? Are they all listed yet, the talks? Because I don't know what they are.
The talks are listed. So one is going to be, a talk is going to be a Kenny Ho, who's going to talk about his app, his property management app that he built and sort of vibe coded, but he kind of will walk through the process of what went through that sort of vision and design and a lot of those design choices. So a lot of it's just sort of like kind of like a walkthrough of that, of building an app and what kind of goes into the inspiration of that. Then we have another one by Artbit, who's going to talk about his sort of news aggregator app. Really slick, really cool. It's his first real SwiftUI app that he's built.
Do you vibe code that too?
He probably did, but we'll get answers. He's actually an Android developer, so it's always good to get. But he's a really good developer, regardless of vibe coded or not. Like,
no, he wouldn't have vibe coded. Maybe use LLMs to help him.
Yeah, for sure. Like he is, a very skilled developer. So shout out to you, Arpit, if you're listening, because I know sometimes you do. And then we're going to have one by Mark from the Vanguard group, who's going to talk about his experience with Claude Code and in collaboration with Xcode and how he sort of uses it to build.
Like in the Xcode app?
Yep. And how that process works.
I actually don't do that. I mean, I use the MCP server with Xcode, but I haven't used it much in the app.
Yeah, so he's going to kind of walk through that. I think it also includes Xcode MCP, but I'm not sure. I don't want to take
the Xcode MCP or the one that comes with Xcode the app.
Yeah.
The third party one or the first
I guess you're going to have to come. You're going to have to come by and find out.
Because they're not quite the same.
I don't know that much detail. And then you will have a talk by yours truly, myself, that will talk about the crazy and absurd things of integrating metal shaders into your app. And while I have done demos, I think it's hard to really do a demo that really expresses why this is sort of the next generation of sort of experiential apps that you're going to build, and maybe long term, like how you kind of separate yourself from the other people, the other apps out there.
We're just going to be talking. It's all just going to be speech and text, right?
This is going to be special effects. So you're going to be doing we're going to be warping the full screen.
Wait, are you going to show demos? Or are you going to show like an app?
I'm going to show demos. Oh no. Well, I can't do that, but I can show examples of how you can do it to sort of create an experience that's easy to implement and relatively straightforward to do. Maybe not so much cross-platform. You might have to do a little bit of creative usage
or something else.
Yeah.
I mean, also because SwiftUI has a really especially easy way to integrate metal shaders effects. So it's not necessarily true on all platforms.
So, and then the other thing is like how you can stack them. So there are ways to do multiple shaders on top of each other to create a more unique and bespoke experience. Yeah. So like, for example, I don't want to do something like there's one thing where like I had like a flag, like a wave. I had a view that was like wavy, and then I added an image to that wavy view, and then I pixelated it. But because it was wavy, pixelated and then wavy, the pixelation gets that benefit of being wavy as well. So this something like that.
Very intuitive if you've ever done game programming, but most of us have not.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a great talk. And it's different than last time you did this talk, something like this. Right?
It'll be different. I mean, it's kind of like similar to what you've seen before, but it will be different in the sense of like integrating in like where it makes sense versus like if you keep it on all the time, it's just going to blow up your machine.
Do you know if any of these have the option of being recorded? Are they going to be? Because I don't think they were last time. I think they were just live only, right?
Good question. I think there is. I'll talk with Mark, who is helping from Vanguard, who is helping us set that whole like because we will have a virtual option in there.
How
we might actually
do the virtual option because it says not to RSVP for not going to show up, right?
Yes, but I need to add we just added a virtual option, so that's something
you'll put it on the event page. What you're saying, okay?
Yep.
So go to phillycoca.org, and it's on the front page. There's a link to the Luma site where you can sign up. You can get all the information as we update it for this.
Indeed.
Which is a few days from now if you're listening to this when it releases.
Yes. Run, don't walk to get your RSVP.
No, seriously, because it's a small room, and if you want to show up in person, it's a good time, but it's a small room. So
it's small room, but potentially could get bigger. TBD.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially if lots of people try to register, lots of people show up.
Bingo. So till next time, good luck on your own developer journey. We will cheer for you always. No, that's a lie.